And welcome back to Janky AF and Year of the Aerostar, episode number 116. Well, if you saw in 114, we did that black rattle can. I was wearing this black sweatshirt, and then in 115, we did the fire engine red, and I was wearing this red sweatshirt. So I just keep putting on additional sweatshirts to mark the color of the vehicle, like a Russian doll. As you will see, today's vehicle has something to do with green. Real quick, before we get into all that, I have to give both a shout out and an apology to Dr. Evil's Laser Creations. The good doctor, maybe you'll remember if you're a longtime viewer of this channel, sent me this beautiful puzzle. It's a wooden Aerostar puzzle. I will share my screen for a second before we introduce the vehicle. A little early preview here. He makes these incredible, wonderful Ford Aerostar laser cut wooden puzzles. They're fantastic, and I apologize because I never, as we jump back here to the preview screen, I never put mine together. I wanted to. He was even talking about maybe doing some sort of discount code for the Janky viewers at home, so I'll have to get in touch with him. I did send him a hat. I hope he got that. But I got my wood glue. I got my puzzle, so no excuses. I will finally build this. I'm very excited to. You know, just life gets in the way sometimes. So I apologize, Doctor, and thank you again for sending me this, and I will put it together and then can show it off on the channel. So, if you want your own little unique Ford Aerostar puzzle, please do order one. And who knows, maybe if you contact the doctor directly and tell him that, you know, you're a fan of Year of the Aerostar, maybe, I can't promise anything, but maybe he'll give you, you know, a little discount or a little treat in your puzzle or something like that. Who knows? Anywho, now that we've talked about a wooden Ford Aerostar, let's talk about one that's made out of metal, shall we? Here we have a 1992 Ford Aerostar passenger minivan, listed for $2,000 in Wilmington, Ohio. At this point, I think I have to say Ohio, you know, while St. Louis is sort of the spiritual home of the Aerostar, because that's where all 2,029,577, I believe is the number, Aerostars were manufactured. Ohio's got a real stake as, you know, sort of the current, you know, capital of Aerostardom. I mean, there's just so many Aerostars that pop up in Ohio. I myself bought an Aerostar from Ohio. My 1993 Cayman Green Metallic Ford Aerostar Sport was purchased in Ohio. I believe Jason, who I think just commented on one of my videos, he has 5 Aerostars. I believe he's in Ohio. If I'm not wrong, if I am, I apologize for that. Funny enough, Columbus, Ohio is where Midwest Bayless is, who is a Fiat X19 parts manufacturer. They're like the capital of like Fiat. So whether it's Fiat X19s or Ford Aerostars, which are basically my 2 favorite cars and the vehicles that I will probably, you know, keep buying in volume as time goes on, both located in Ohio. So, you know, there's something strange about Ohio beckoning me in the land of vehicles. Anyways, this Aerostar is in Wilmington, Ohio. I don't know where Wilmington is, but, you know, sounds like a nice name. Sounds like a nice place. About this vehicle, and we'll get into why this one's, you know, particularly special, but I would say this is noteworthy. Driven 297,000 miles. You know, we just had 252 or 254 last episode. Now we're almost at 300,000 miles. And I gotta say, while generally you want to buy the lowest mileage vehicle possible, just because the less miles on it, you know, the less wear and tear on the engine, you would think. Although now that these vehicles are getting older, you're almost not as worried about the engine as you are about all like the sort of plastic bits and pieces, rubber hoses, stuff that can like sort of just degrade over time. So anyways, neither here nor there. 297,000. I mean, who wouldn't want to be the person that takes this Aerostar over 300,000 miles? This says automatic transmission. We'll get to that in a bit. Spoiler alert, it's not. Exterior color green, interior color gray, fuel type gasoline. Now, I don't know why it's listed as an automatic. It's very strange. Let's read, we'll skip over the mileage at this point. You know an Aerostar gets about around 18 to 22 miles a gallon. Okay, seller's description. 1992 Ford Aerostar, seats 8 people, also very interesting, including driver. It's like saying, it's like my father always says, it's when you're talking about a 5-speed transmission, he says it's got 5 forward gears, because you always forget about that reverse, right? Okay, seats 8 people, including the driver. Good to know the driver has a seat. Back seat lays flat into a bed, mechanically well taken care of, has brand new wheel bearings, sway bar links, clutch and slave cylinder, and thermostat. Kinda rare for a 5-speed. Now, is it rare for a 5-speed to have a new slave cylinder, or is it kind of rare just because it is a 5-speed? Interesting, ambiguity there. Kind of rare for a 5-speed, cruise control, heat, and radio all work, gets decent gas mileage, V6, rear-wheel drive, body-wise, 7 out of 10, rockers are rusted, frame solid. Factory tinted windows, they are tinted, which I guess a tint is kind of like a tent over your window. That works. Only thing I guess it needs is e-brake fixed, but most of us manual shifters, I like that category, manual shifters, most of us manual shifters just leave it in gear anyways. Looking for trades, cash 2,000. If it's posted, it's available. All right. Wow. A lot to digest there. The main takeaway is it's a manual transmission. I mean, that's it, and this is why I didn't notice this at first, because it's hiding in plain sight. You know, it just says automatic transmission, and in the pictures you don't really see it, but there is also a video on this post, and so that's extra special too. So let's buzz through the pictures here. You can't really tell. This almost looks like it's dark green. The photo has a filter on it, but if we scroll through, we can see that I think this is also a Cayman Green Metallic Aerostar. Now this one is formatted vertically. That's okay. You know, that's quite a bit of rocker rust. I'm not sure if I would call this a 7 out of 10 body-wise, but I will say, other than the rockers, it does look pretty clean and straight. However, that's a significant amount of rocker rust, and you know, you would have to definitely make sure that the frame is okay under there. I do like this little white pinstripe that's going on amidst the Cayman Green Metallic. Now, it's interesting to see a Cayman Green Metallic that's not a sport version, because mine is, of course, a sport version. You have the running boards and yada, yada, yada. But it looks equally good, I think, as just a, you know, non-sport version, sort of standard Aerostar. Here we can see another, looks like the rockers aren't nearly as bad on this side. You have your typical rubber seal drooping down like that. You know, pretty basic. And what's so funny about this one is it just, you know, it's just this very unassuming Aerostar, and you don't really think much of it. Now it looks like the bumper is a little smashed up too. Salvageable, I would say, but you certainly have your work cut out for you trying to, you know, get that thing back into order. We have all sorts of little cute bumper stickers and stuff. The great, I like the thumb over the the finger over the license plate. Classic move in marketplace lore. And we have both. Now this is interesting. They said it seats 8, and including the driver. And that was funny to me, because usually an Aerostar seats 7. But what's funny in here is it seems like they took 2 rear benches. If you've seen these before, a lot of times the middle bench will be a little smaller and it'll seat 2 because you want to leave that little extra space to crawl back into the 3rd row. However, they just took like 2, which there's no reason why you can't do that. I guess the seatbelts almost like still, you know, line up perfectly. And maybe even in the smaller bench, you could still, it has a middle buckle. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really know. It's a good question, but I think usually this was a smaller seat for 2 and the rear seat could fit 3. However, they have taken basically 2 rear seats and smashed them in both locations. So then, you know, you could actually fit 8 people, including the driver. So that is just kind of fantastic. What a great little Aerostar hack that I hadn't seen before. You know, 7 people is impressive. I talked about that in the Cybertruck video, how the Cybertruck fits 5, the Aerostar fits 7, you know. But this actually fits 8, and including the driver. So that, I've never seen that before. That's like kind of a novel, kind of cool thing. It looks like the rear seat has your red piping on it, whereas this middle seat just has your standard gray. No piping, which I'm guessing this is the stock seat, and I'm guessing this is one from a different Aerostar. But that's kind of funny, and you know, mismatched three-seater benches stacked one on top of each other, and you could probably fold them all the way down and make some sort of like a little bed situation. But let's get to the main attraction. I want you to listen very carefully to the audio on this video, okay? If we get audio. We'll start it over here.
They did do it right, at least for what it is.
I guess we won't start it over. Alright, here we go.
Kind of before we put this one here. I don't like it. Kind of tacky, but it's cool, but it's kind of different. They did do it right, at least for what it is. Everything seems to be running just fine. Heat works. What else? Clutch works. Everything's fine. Belt squeaks. Usually don't find that an issue really. It's just a squeaky belt. Put some belt icing on it.
Did you catch that? I think he referred to the headliner as being janky, which really endears this fellow to me. I love how he says everything seems to run fine, which is, if it's your car, on one hand it sounds like you're not that confident. On the other hand, it's very honest, right? It's like, well, everything seems to run fine, but on a 30-year-old car, you don't really know. So I appreciate the honesty and the candor there. You can see him shifting through the gears. Now, I have a manual transmission Aerostar. The other thing I'm noticing now, which is weird, is this black steering wheel. You know, usually the steering wheel would be gray to match the rest of the interior. I wonder if this is actually, and it almost doesn't look like the regular Aerostar wheel from this era. I also see crank windows. What I was going to say is it's so funny that, you know, just an 8-passenger vehicle that has crank windows and a manual transmission, like, where else does that exist? I mean, it's like, and yet it's not really much bigger than a modern day sedan. Like again, it boggles my mind how practical and how cool the Aerostar is, because you can't buy a vehicle like this today. It doesn't exist, you know? And if you buy a little crossover SUV, you can barely fit 4 people in those little things now, and the roof line's all sloped, and like, yeah, okay, they get a little bit better mileage, most of them. The hybrid ones definitely get better mileage, but you know, for a vehicle this size to have so much capacity and still have, like, you know, so my 86 obviously is a manual transmission, but that's that little 4-cylinder, and it's so anemic and underpowered. I would really love to drive a manual transmission that's the V6, because you're getting like almost a 50% increase in power. Mine maybe makes 100 horsepower on a good day, whereas the Vulcan V6 had like 145 horsepower. So I would really like to feel the extra power of that vehicle being transmitted through a manual transmission. I would love to own a V6 manual. And this is a 92. I don't have a 92. So, and he's open to trade. So, you know, maybe I should offer him, you know, either my Buick or Jetta in a trade. I don't know. Let me know if you think I should do that. Maybe he's looking for a 95 Buick LeSabre. I don't know. Let's watch this video one more time, see if we can catch him here. Janky. Say Janky again, and I don't know what's in this headliner, by the way. I can't tell what it is. If it's like some sort of wallpaper, it looks like it's a little bit of flappy, like almost like a shower curtain or something like that, but you know, very, very interesting.
It works on the car. Kind of before we put this one here. I don't like it. It's kind of tacky, but it's cool, but it's kind of different. But they did do it right, at least for what it is. Everything seems to be running just fine. Heat works. What else? Clutch works. Shift is fine. Belt squeaks. Usually don't find that an issue really. Just a squeaky belt with some belt crashing on it.
So very funny there. I think he almost says I don't really like it. He doesn't really like the headliner because it's kind of janky, but then at least they did it right. So I don't know. You'd have to ask him, you know. But a lot of information and detail in this listing, so that's kind of cool. I mean, again, I think I'm seeing on his arm there, I think he has a Mopar tattoo. So maybe that's why he's not really partial to this vehicle. I don't know how he came upon this vehicle. See if we can get that. And the other thing is obviously the camera is reversed here because it looks like he's driving, you know, a right-hand drive car. And obviously I don't think Aerostars are ever made in right-hand drive. Also, I'm wondering about the steering wheel here. Like, you know, like why is the steering wheel black? I have all these questions. Yeah, it looks like a Mopar tattoo there. So he's clearly not a Ford guy, which maybe I have to go out and find some sort of Chrysler product to try to trade him. But I mean, you know, we haven't. I don't think we've done a manual transmission Aerostar in quite some time, and this one really just snuck up on me. And the fact that it's got almost 300,000 miles, like, I think that's really cool. There's something special about buying a high mileage vehicle, because then it's not about keeping miles off the car, it's about adding miles to the car. You want to see how many miles you can rack up on that vehicle, and it becomes like this badge of honor. I would say once you get really over 250,000 miles, then instead of being a liability, it becomes a strength. So, and you know, obviously it's had a lot of work done to it recently. For $2,000, you know, I guess the rocker's a little bit concerning to me. You'd really want to look under the vehicle, but for a manual transmission V6 Aerostar, I mean, how cool is that? Great color. So just between the fire engine red one we did and this one, I mean, you know, my heart's palpitating. There's so many Aerostars out there that I want to add to my collection, and so many unique examples, so many special different examples, that it's almost more than I can take. But, you know, that's why we have this program, so we can at least document these for posterity. Maybe someone out there can go buy one, and, you know, I can drive it, or maybe buy it from you eventually in a few years. If you want to sell it, you might not want to. I mean, that's the other great thing. You know, it's selfish. I want to have every Aerostar I can get, but there's so many other folks out there enjoying their own Aerostars, and that's really what it's all about. It's just the love and the appreciation for this van, and sharing that with each other. So I thought that was cool. A manual transmission Aerostar, man, they're getting rarer and rarer. And honestly, right now, if I had to pick between like a four-wheel drive extended Aerostar and another manual that's a V6 manual, it would be very, very hard for me to decide. Maybe it's fortunate that I don't have to make that decision right now. But I love these vehicles, and thank you so much for watching. Okay, this has been another. We did like 3 episodes today, and I might do a 4th, because there's one more Aerostar that's really special down in South Carolina that I'd like to document before that disappears. I guess it says we're offline. Anywho, shout out again to Dr. Evil's Laser Creations. Go buy a great little wood Aerostar, and Doctor, again, I apologize it's taken me so long, but I can't wait to finally actually put this thing together. So a little shout out there. This has been Year of the Aerostar here on Janky F. We thank you so much for watching. We'll have another one for you very soon, and until then, Janky do Thanky.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.